If you're a gamer, chances are you're in LA today. Welcome to your Monday lunch break, everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero. The annual Electronic Entertainment Expo kicks off today in Los Angeles, and while last year the focus was on game consoles from Sony and Microsoft, this year will be all about the games. With a cheat sheet on what to look out for, we're joined today by WSJ Tech Editor Brian Fitzgerald. Brian, great to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about this event. Why is
Sure.
E3 so big? Why is it so important?
You know, it's very easy to discount video games as kids stuff, and you should let that go by the time you went to college. But I think what people forget is that this is a tens of billions of dollar industry. There are production budgets for some of these games that go into the millions of dollars. You have Kevin Spacey appearing in a very popular game coming in a few months or next year. So there's a lot of money at stake, and these companies are publicly traded companies.
That's right. So it's like Hollywood light, right? Not so light even. All right. So Microsoft is kicking off the day.
Right. So that's happening actually right about now. They're going to start their pre-briefing, and then they'll have a live presentation, big presentation in about a half an hour from now at 12:30 Eastern. What's interesting for Microsoft is you said it right. Last year was all about the consoles and the hardware, and it was a big unveiling. And this year, they really have to go after the hardcore gamer. They've sold about 5 million of their consoles. That's 2 million less than Sony has sold so far, so they're kind of losing in that race. 5 million is nothing to shake a stick at, but they have some catching up to do, and part of the reason why is they kind of fell trapped to pitching their console as this multimedia device that can kind of do everything, motion sensor, and hardcore gamers, they just want to know about the games. And so they have a little bit of ground to make up. And
a lot of competition. Like you said, Sony is going to be closing the day. What can we expect from them?
Sure. So Sony just needs to sit in their lead. It's fascinating because 6 or 7 years ago, Sony fell into the same trap where they pitched their next-gen console as this big multimedia device that can do everything, and then they ended up kind of getting their tails kicked by Nintendo and Microsoft. So they came back pared down with this latest release and said, we just make awesome games, and we're going to sell it for less money because we didn't load it up with all this extra stuff, and they sold 7 million. So they need to just sort of sit back in their laurels and say, we are the leader. Right. Here's our slate of really powerful games that you're going to love, and just be comfortable with that.
So they are leading the pack right now.
Yeah.
All right, now what about Nintendo?
Nintendo's kind of in an odd position. Historically, they've been the biggest innovator of video games. Almost every major innovation of video games comes from that company. But right now, they're really in third place, and you can argue fourth or fifth if you start getting PCs and mobile involved. They don't have a big live presentation. They didn't do one last year either because their console came out a while back. So they're instead opting for smaller kind of booth shows, a live video, to try to drum up interest in their big flagship franchises, which they have a couple of them, but they have a lot of ground to make up.
Is there anyone else? Are there any other players in this realm?
Well, you have the hardware makers, but then you have all the video game making companies, the software publishers. So you have Electronic Arts there and Ubisoft. These are publicly traded companies, and they're just going to be showing their games.
All right.
So it's a lot of interest. There's a lot of money at stake.
It sounds like a lot of fun too. All right.
A lot of fun. I'm not there.
You're not there. Too bad.
I'm here with you
next year. I'm glad you're here with me, Brian.